We got our first look at the rookies this past weekend. So I want to look at some winners and losers coming out of rookie minicamp. Now, full disclosure, there are no real big winners or losers because it's rookie minicamp, right? It is mostly like syllabus week. It is freshman orientation. They are learning the facility. They are learning the playbook. And then they do some drills and shorts, a t-shirt, and a helmet. So nothing to look at as a major conclusion, but it's still a fun way to kind of break down what we learned with a creative twist to it. So my first winner from rookie minicamp is I'm going to go with both quarterbacks. I know everyone is just searching to find out who looked better, Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel. And I think everyone quietly, maybe not even so quietly, wants Shedeur Sanders to emerge as the better quarterback so far. I am not going to crown a better quarterback after rookie minicamp. These guys threw a couple of balls in their helmets and t-shirts and jerseys for, a few days over the weekend, and we're supposed to draw a major conclusion out of that. I'm not going to get sucked into that. Some people said that Shedeur looked better. Maybe. And there's a very good chance that the next time they're out there throwing around, Dillon Gabriel looks better. Right? It's rookie minicamp. Please do not make any big sweeping conclusions from non-padded practices with a bunch of guys that are not going to even make the 53-man roster. I mean, think about it. You have 7 draft picks, and on top of that, all those UDFAs, all of those rookie minicamp tryout invites. Things are going to be very different when Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel are throwing against Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, and Myles Garrett. So do not make any big conclusions. I beg of you. But having said all that, both quarterbacks at least looked good. So I think that is a nice, relieving thing to hear and to see going into the rest of the offseason workouts. It's not like they put up clunkers with multiple interceptions. Were there some bad passes? Sure, it's rookie minicamp. But if you are hopeful for the, direction the Browns are headed at quarterback, do me a big favor and like today's video. It's a great way to support the channel, and why not get some positivity out there? Moving on to our first loser. I'm going to go with the media. Me, if I kind of count as the media. I never really put myself under that tax bracket, but maybe some of you guys watching do. But I feel like the media had a bit of a piss-poor showing for the rookies. I mean, we've got Mary Kay asking Dillon Gabriel how he's going to handle the scrutiny and the coverage of him with Shedeur Sanders being the spotlight that he is. And Dillon Gabriel saying, I think the more questions I get asked like that, it just divides the team. Shout out to Gabriel, right? He understands that everyone is rooting for the guy who was drafted after him, but he's not losing sight of that this is a team, and he's going to be a team-first guy. So I can understand where Mary Kay comes from because she's, in part, doing her job. She's asking a question that a lot of us are probably thinking, but Gabriel, I feel like, is in, complete, right territory to say you are just trying to create a division here that does not exist. So I get both sides here, but at the same time, I'm going to err or lean towards Gabriel's side. But I'm not throwing the media in the loser column just because of this question. I'm going to throw the media in the loser column because of this clip that surfaced right after Gabriel finished his press conference with the media, where you can see Chris Easterling right there from the Akron Beacon Journal mouthing, I'm taller than him. One, you know how these press conferences work. You know that they are recorded and streamed. You know there's a camera on the podium. You couldn't wait until you got to the parking lot to get that joke off for your buddies. Two, as a former fat guy, you can't come at someone's physical appearance when you're fat. That's just a privilege that you lose. If you're big and strong and you're jacked with a six-pack, you can come after people's physical appearances a little bit easier. When you've got the spare tire in the beer belly, you gotta bite your tongue a little bit. I'm sorry. Like, that is unfortunately one of the consequences of being a fatty. You can't call people short. You can't make fun of their physical stature. The pro is you get to eat a lot of, food, and you get to have a lot of beer, and I love those things. I tried the last 3 months to give those things up, but it's one or the other. You can't be mean and be fat. That's the number one rule that all moms tell their daughters. If you're going to be skinny, you can be a bit of a bitch. But if you're going to be ugly, you can't be mean. Otherwise, no boys are going to like you. Those are just the rules of life. I didn't create them. So you can't go up there when you, as an experienced media member, know a camera's pointing to the podium and mouth, I'm taller than him, knowing what's going to come right back at you when that clip inevitably gets, on the internet and sees the light of day. So poor showing by the media. They are unfortunately just showing the, entire country what a lot of Cleveland fans have been upset with, and that is the media in the Cleveland area, the sports media, the Browns coverage is not good. And when they just get in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, when the media should never be in the spotlight when talking about athletes, it should be the athletes in there, you're doing a lot of things wrong. And it's rookie minicamp. My second winner, I'm going to go with linebacker Carson Schwesinger. He was the 33rd overall pick out of UCLA. And unfortunately, he's not a winner for the right reasons. This sucks to say, but we have to acknowledge that in the NFL, when an opportunity comes across your desk, you got to take advantage of it. And for Schwesinger, he's got a great opportunity now because Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was placed on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, before the season began, and he is out for the entire 2025 season as a result, which means Carson Schwesinger is going to have a great opportunity to see more snaps. So we've got JOK on the depth chart, but the next time you see that depth chart, it's not going to include him. He'll be with Watson on the PUP list, who is not officially on the PUP list like JOK yet, but I think Watson will be soon. But there's a great opportunity, like I was saying. And in the NFL, when you get an opportunity, you got to take it and run with it. Because I'm looking at the two leading candidates for the Browns linebacking duo. Jordan Hicks is going to come back and be that middle linebacker. Devin Bush saw much more action down the stretch last year after JOK went down. But you can see even Bush played about 50% of snaps on a good day his last 4 games of the season. So if that is the bar for Schwesinger to clear to get a bunch of snaps, it's not that high of a bar. And with JOK out, he's got a good opportunity to climb up the depth chart a little bit and see some meaningful snaps, and maybe more than meaningful, a lot of snaps from day one as a rookie. So he's not a winner for the reasons we like to call him a winner, but we have to acknowledge that he is going to have a much better chance to, climb up a little bit, like I was saying. Obviously sucks for JOK, and we're just hoping that we'll see him back on the field at some point in his career. Sounds a little bit murky right now altogether, but nothing more I can really add to it other than sucks, and rooting for JOK and rooting for Schwesinger in his place, and we'll see where it goes from here. All right, before we look at my other winners and losers, if you want to get a Shedeur Sanders jersey, a Mason Graham jersey, a Kisean Johnson jersey, or any other jersey in your area for the Browns, go to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. I put this link in the comments and description of today's video. So check it out today if you want to get a brand new Browns jersey going into 2025. My second loser is going to be, speaking of Fatties, I'm not trying to pick on all the Fatties just because I'm no longer, the captain of the Fatties, but I'm still on the team Fatties. Fatties in the heat. Tough visual for Mason Graham. Pretty nice picture taken here, but you can see Graham throwing up in the middle of practice through his helmet. Had to, jog off the field and, clean his helmet off a little bit. We've seen plenty of clips of players throwing up on the field. I'm not sure why this gets such a bad image. I understand why it gets not a great image. It looks like you're out of shape. It looks like you're not well conditioned. I think that is true for your average Joe who just starts going back to the gym for the first time, right? For Mason Graham, when you live near 300 pounds and you're working out, under the sun, and it's your first time in a while, I don't look at this as some major red flag. I look at it as the price of doing business. You want this guy to sit near 300 pounds? Well, when it's hot out and he's running around a ton, he's probably going to blow chunks once in a while, especially when it's the first or second practice of the year. I look at it not as much of a negative, but borderline a positive. The guy's working his ass off, right? He is out there busting his tail to the point where he throws up his guts. I'm not sure why that got twisted into such a horrible thing. What a major red flag. Mason Graham threw up. Yeah, he's 296. It's not 100 degrees in Cleveland in early May, but it's still getting warmer. The sun's out. He's got his helmet on. He's running around, and so what? He threw up a little bit. I don't think this is as big of a negative as some people make it out to be. If we are, 3-4 weeks into practice and he continues to have to tap out because he just cannot stay on the field and he is not well conditioned, that's one thing. But first day, second day of rookie minicamp, and he is out there sweating his balls off and he is going, 100% and he throws up a little bit. I kind of like it more than dislike it, if anything. All right, let's move on to my third winner. Handful of tryouts. So like I said, rookie minicamp is not just for in this case, 7 players that were drafted. You got all the UDFAs, and teams invite a bunch of players to rookie minicamp as a tryout. And a couple of those guys scored a 90-man roster spot. So first off, we had 2 veteran additions. This is not related to rookie minicamp, but just to show you all the roster moves the Browns made after rookie minicamp. They added 2 safeties, Rayshawn Jenkins and Damontae Kazee. Then they added 3 wide receivers, a couple of UDFAs that were invited to rookie minicamp, and from there we're able to show enough to get a spot on the 90-man roster. Now, to make room, the Browns moved on from a couple of players who you probably had never even heard of anyway. Safety Trey Dean. I recognize Marcus Haynes. I feel like he's been around for an offseason or 2. Had never heard of him. I thought he was just a UDFA addition after the draft. So, anywho, that's where the Browns currently stand roster-wise. But kudos and awesome to those, players who got a 90-man roster spot after just getting a rookie minicamp invite. And if you notice, they're all wide receivers, and the wide receiver room is filling out quite nicely. I think they are all wide receivers for 3 reasons. 1, they probably looked good. That's the most important reason. 2, the Browns could use some extra competition and depth at the wide receiver position. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman are the only guys I would stick my neck under the guillotine for as locks to make the roster. Would not do that for anyone else. So I'm looking at 2 guaranteed locks for 6 guys. That means 4 spots are somewhat up for grabs, with players like Michael Woods, David Bell, Deontay Johnson probably having a bigger advantage than some of those UDFAs. But would you stick your neck under the guillotine during the French Revolution for Deontay Johnson to make this roster? Hell no. So it's a good spot to be a wide receiver and to push for some competition. And the Browns have 4 quarterbacks. 5, really. 4 healthy quarterbacks. They're going to need a lot of wide receivers to help keep some of these quarterbacks busy. You got 4 quarterbacks throwing at one time. Well, you're going to need, say, 3 receivers to a quarterback just to keep the drills moving so you're not waiting too long for a receiver to catch a ball, run to the back of the line, and run another route. We're talking 12 wide receivers, right? And that's just going with 3 per quarterback. You want to bump it up to 4? 16 receivers. 3.5? Looking at 14 to 15 guys. So you put that all together, and it's a good spot to be if you are a UDFA receiver trying to make a roster. Let's wrap it up by picking a card.
Can I go with like Queen of Clubs?
You can go with Queen of Clubs.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to go with 8 of Diamonds. Ace of Diamonds. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of hours with our next video.